Oh my gosh, I cannot with this. Let me turn this off. Oh, what did I turn off?
And there's some very fine pictures.
You know I'm live. Just so you know. Oh, the pictures are nice too? Dope. I'm glad to hear it. Can I sit back a little bit? Oh. Yes, hello you guys. Okay. Let me see if I can't see my chat. I know that I'm late, y'all, and I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. Forgive me. Hi, B1. Hi, nurse student. Hi, DeMarco. Okay, so I think today this is going to be a little controversial because I know when I did, I don't know, those of you that saw my community tab where I was promoting this video, one of the first things that somebody asked me was, are you saying that more Black women are killed by police than Black men? And I was saying per capita, yes. Per encounter, yes. So before I get into the controversy of the conversation, what I do want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to go through the articles and the studies with you that I'm deriving this information from. So let me just pull those up. So I wanted to come at this from two angles because the studies that I'm quoting are unrelated studies, but I think that I want to make a correlation. One study deals with Black women simply just being invisible. It is a study, and I'm going to go into what it looked into, that essentially came to the conclusion that Black women are not noticed, both as far as being seen and also as far as being heard. Now, I found this fascinating because when I came across the other study regarding the fact that Black women are killed by police at a rate of 60% when they're unarmed, and how this stat that's rarely talked about inflates the police on Black crime death statistics, I thought, wow, could this have anything to do with the fact that the Black woman is invisible? So I'm going to deal with the first study first regarding the invisibility of the Black woman, and then I'm going to deal with the second set of data second regarding police murder against unarmed Black men and women and how those correlations are made. So let me present the data first, and then we can kind of dig into it. Hi, King Common Sense. Hi, RY and Paul. Hi, Nurse Student Possibilities. RY, you're not surprised? I was surprised, actually. And I'm going to tell you, I haven't told my man about the correlation between murder, but I was talking to him about the invisibility of the Black woman. And in my house, this is very controversial because my man is a Black male advocate. That's what he does. He advocates for young Black men and adult Black men in various, so he loves all Black people, but he's passionate about Black males for obvious reasons. So I cannot wait for the dinner time conversation where we discuss this statistic because I think it might surprise him. So I'm surprised you weren't surprised because even I was very shocked by this. So let's look into the first set of data first, which deals with how Black women are basically invisible. I'm going to read an article, and then I'm going to go to the actual scientific research paper and give you guys just the details on that. And then we're going to get into the murder rates of Black women, unarmed Black women when dealing with the police. An article published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology by Amanda Sesko and Monica Biernat examined the intriguing idea that Black women are socially invisible. In their study, these researchers wanted to test if Black women were more likely to go unnoticed in a crowd. So they conducted a study to see how well people remembered Black women's faces. They showed white participants a series of photos depicting men and women who were white or Black. Later, participants were shown a new series of photos. Some of the photos were new and some were the same. Photos that they had seen before. Participants simply had to indicate if they had seen the face before. What they found is that participants' memory was worst at remembering whether they had seen a Black female face before or whether it was new. The same did not occur for Black male faces, suggesting it was something more than just the fact that the target was another race than the participant. As the researchers pointed out, these results suggest that Black women are more likely than Black men or white men and women to go unnoticed by others in a group or social situation. In a follow-up study, so this is a second study, they examined whether Black women were also more likely to go unheard when contributing to a group conversation. In this study, participants overheard a conversation between 8 people, including 2 Black women, 2 Black men, 2 white women, and 2 white men. After observing the conversation, participants were given a list of comments made during the conversation and were asked to match each comment to the correct speaker. The results showed that participants made the most errors when identifying the comments made by the Black female speakers. First, participants were more likely to mix up comments made by the 2 Black female speakers, suggesting they perceived the 2 Black women as relatively interchangeable. Second, participants were also more likely to misattribute the Black female speaker's comments to other speakers in the group. Taken together, these results indicate that compared to Black men, white men, and white women, comments made by Black women are more likely to go unheard when made to a largely white audience. Could this be the cause of why Black women are so invisible in social situations? Some argue it is because they do not fit the prototypical image of a stereotype target in general. So essentially, the argument is that because Black women are from 2 sets of disenfranchised groups, meaning they're Black, which is a disenfranchised group, and they're also women, and women are a disenfranchised group, that they are less noticeable on the whole. This is the study that I'm going to tie into why we have perhaps overlooked the fact that Black women that are unarmed are murdered most by police. How do we overlook that? How is the focus only and solely on our men for the most part, which is a serious problem, but that we overlook that the stats are inflated because of Black female deaths? This could have something to do with this study that we're looking at now, where Black women are socially invisible. They're not a target group for perception and intellectualism to listen to focus on. Therefore, it's easy to overlook a very obvious statistic. Let's take a look at the study itself. And if you go to the description box, I have included the 2 studies, the actual studies, and a couple of articles, 2 or 3 articles revolving around these studies as well. So it says that let's have a look at it. It says, as a discipline, social psychology has been dedicated to studying racial and gender stereotyping and prejudice. However, the majority of research investigates Black men as targets of racism and white women as targets of sexism, disregarding the members of groups who belong to multiple subordinate group identities, such as Black women. Despite their rarity in laboratory studies and of stereotyping women, There has been some debate in literature on the issue of whether Black women experience a relative disadvantage or advantage due to their unique dual subordinate category. It's interesting that they're calling it a subordinate category. The prominent theory arguing in favor of disadvantage is the double jeopardy hypothesis, which posts a double hit of race and sexism, and they reference Beale. From this perspective, Black women are assumed to be worse off than white women and Black men because they are subject to both racism and sexism, and they're citing Epstein, Reed, and Coma Diaz. They're also citing Settles, and if you look at their if you look at the study itself, you'll get access to all of these other studies. So I didn't put the links to all the studies because there are clickable links in the PDF that you can click. One such alternative to double jeopardy is the subordinate male target hypothesis, which argues that Black males rather than Black females are primary objects of discrimination. I just want to stop here and say I don't like the pitting of the two groups. This is not the oppression Olympics at all. So I disagree with them even going down that road. Other relevant research has been descriptive, providing evidence that stereotypes of Black women differ from those of white women and Black men. For example, relative to white women, Black women tend to be viewed as more masculine, self-reliant, independent, assertive, and strong, and less feminine, emotional, passive, dependent. And she cites the studies that have helped perpetuate these stereotypes. And while some stereotypes of Black women are consistent with those of Black men, others are in opposition to these stereotypes. These findings about differential stereotypes suggest that Black women are neither prototypical of women nor of Blacks, meaning that the prototype and the ideology that goes with Black people is not attributed to Black women to some degree. The prototype and ideology attributed to women is not attributed to Black women to some degree. This is the argument. No, BMT, we do not need to tell our women that. So with that in mind, and like I said, the study is attached so you can go ahead and take a look at it. With this in mind, the understanding that Black women are essentially invisible in society and are not given the benefits and protections that are given to women because they're viewed as masculine, and are not given the benefits and protections that are associated with Blackness because those are given to our men. I want to look at the statistics for murder by police on the Black population, how this impacts women and how it impacts our men. Otis Johnson, a professor of education and sociology at Washington University, recently released the first report from the Fatal Interactions with Police Research Project. Among the key findings, the odds that Black Americans will be killed by police when unarmed are nearly 7-1, more than double the odds found in research to date, and due primarily to the unarmed status of Black women. Let me repeat that. The odds that Black Americans will be killed by police when unarmed are nearly 7-1, more than double the odds found in research to date. Why are the stats the way they are? It is due primarily to the unarmed status of Black women. Yet, cases involving unarmed women often go overlooked by news outlets, he notes. We do not see women getting the same type of attention in the media, says Johnson. Here's an overview. So let's go ahead and take a look at the findings of the study. Why did researchers decide to study police shootings involving unarmed civilians? Johnson and the other public health and biostatistics experts wanted to test some of the claims of social protest activist groups about the hands up, don't shoot phenomenon. We understand it to mean that Black males are targeted with excessive force by police officers, Johnson said. Of course, there was another message put out there by Say Her Name activists regarding police brutality against women. But we have very few women in the data set, he said. Despite all the attention that police shootings have received, Johnson says, there's not a lot of science on these issues, so they went ahead and they did the research. It goes into their methodology, but you guys can check that out for yourself. Let's go into the findings. The study found that the fatalities involving unarmed African Americans were more than 7 times as likely as those involving unarmed Caucasians. Studying data regarding women, in particular, proved an estimation challenge, Johnson says, because there were only 115 women in the sample. But when researchers compared the number of unarmed African American men who were killed to the total number of unarmed African American people, including women killed, the odds that Black individuals would be killed when unarmed more than doubled in magnitude. So these stats went up by double when they included the Black women into the statistics, suggesting that the proportion of women who were unarmed when killed shouldered a majority of the burden for the racial group as a whole. Our analysis findings that the hands up, don't shoot slogan of the post-Ferguson movement becomes most relevant when you also say her name, Johnson stated to it in a news release. Johnson also highlighted the group's findings in regards to Hispanics, which we will not get into here. Let's go into something else, and then I'm going to take a look at race and gender police shootings of unarmed people, just to bring home these statistics. And I hope that you guys are hearing what I'm saying, and I hope that you take the time not just to use my research, but also to look at the other connected research. The links are in the PDFs for the research that was provided, and to do research on your own. This is a silent epidemic. The reason our stats for Black deaths and police shootings are so high is directly correlated to the fact that, and we're about to get into this, 60% of Black women who encounter a police unarmed and are murdered, 60% of women who are unarmed and encounter police are murdered. Okay, so that rate for police murders, 60% of those women are being murdered. So we have to look at that, and let's go ahead and we'll get into that conversation now. And then we'll get into the race and gender study itself. Black people, especially women, are more likely to have been unarmed when killed by police than non-Blacks, according to a new study of nationwide data. And again, I'm tying this into the first study that says that Black women are invisible in society. And I would have to argue that, strangely, this is a prime example of that, where we literally have an epidemic where the stats for police crime against Black people is raised by double when you consider our women. And nobody is talking about this. Why? Because the Black woman, according to research, is basically an invisible being in this society, a disregarded being in this society. And I really wanted to bring this conversation to the forefront. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the chat, but I will in just a second, you guys. The risk also appears to increase in police departments with a greater presence of non-white officers, report the researchers. A key finding of the study is that nearly 60% of Black women killed by police were unarmed at the time of interaction. The study is the first in a series of reports from an ongoing fatal interactions with police research project, which includes contributions from public health, biostatistic experts, hospitals, and universities. So these studies that they are doing, and this is just the beginning, the tip of the iceberg, these are extensive studies that are taking into account data from numerous reputable places. While the odds of being killed by police when unarmed were about the same for Black and white males, get this. So again, when we're considering these heightened statistics, and we only look at men, we are finding that the results are actually the same. So why do we have the perception of more Black people being killed? It's because they're killing our women as well. While the odds of being killed by police when unarmed were about the same for Black and white males, the high percentage of unarmed Black women killed by police significantly increased the overall odds for unarmed Blacks, meaning when you take our women into account, that raises the statistics about Black people being targeted by police in police shooting and death statistics. Because when our men are taken into account, the statistics are near in par with their white counterparts. They're killing the women too, you guys. That is why the stats are inflated, and people are just now looking at this. Nonetheless, our analysis finds that the hands up, don't shoot slogan of the post-Ferguson movement becomes most relevant when you also say her name, says lead researcher Otis Johnson, associate professor of education and of sociology at Washington University in St. Louis. Nonetheless, the odds of an unarmed fatality for Black Americans as a whole was a staggering 6.6 to 1, more than double the odds found in several other national studies completed in recent decades, meaning that this is a worse epidemic than we realize. The Say Her Name social movement was launched in 2015 to draw attention to the death of Chicago resident Rekia Boyd and other unarmed Black women killed during interactions with police. This study is the first to provide hard data to back up the movement's assertion that Black women face a high risk of being killed by police. And I'm going to stop there. The study itself is attached. Remember, this is the first of many, so you can go ahead in your own research and review other studies regarding this statistic. I don't know who's in the chat, but if anybody wants to join in on this conversation that's been on my channel before, please just let me know. I'm sorry that I haven't been looking at your comments, but I just want to open up the discussion on this because thank you so much, Truth Seeker. I appreciate it. Hi, Black Caesar. Yes, Vladimir, the links are in the description box. That's correct. Thank you for letting people know. I really want to open up this conversation. We talk a lot about a gender war, and I've said, and I continue to say that what affects one group of us affects us all. When we talk about the high rates of Black people being murdered by police, these recent studies that are taking into account all the studies that have been watching and mapping police violence against our people are showing that it is because they are murdering our women that these stats are inflated. That when we look at Black male deaths, they are on par with white male deaths of being unarmed and killed by police or shot by police. But when we take into account that they are so brazen as to murder the women too, the statistics raise by double, making our community a target community. And I think that this is astounding. And I was personally very surprised. This is the most up-to-date, the newest data that we have. There is an epidemic of the invisible Black woman, as I was saying before, according to the study, where our women are being overlooked by society. We are not given the privileges of being women because we are looked at as being masculine. And so we do not have those same protections afforded to us. And we see that mimicked in these statistics. We see this because the police are murdering Black women at disproportionate rates to the point where it causes the Black death toll on police on Black violence to be doubled. I haven't heard anybody talking about this. I came about this research completely by accident. When I was looking into research for O'Shea's panel regarding promiscuity among men and women. And as I was doing that research, I came across the Black woman being invisible research, and I decided to look more into that phenomenon. And that brought me across the research dealing with Black women and deaths by murder from the police. And I was astonished. I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. I want to go ahead and take a look at your comments. So 23 ill, Chris. Yes, it says that. I mean, this is what the data is showing. And so yes, he's asking me, so black men are not more likely to be shot than white men by police. Let's go back to the data. Okay? It says that while the odds of being killed by police when unarmed were about the same for black and white males, a high percentage of unarmed black women killed by police significantly increases the odds for being killed by police for unarmed blacks. So that is exactly what I'm saying. I know that this is shocking to people because you see the statistics, but what the statistics don't expound on is that they are also counting black female deaths. When we only count black male deaths, you hear the latest data. And that data is taking into account many sources of information. And let's go back into every where they pulled their data from. They pulled their data from ongoing reports, a series of reports for fatal interactions with police. That is the ongoing research project. It also has public health, biostatistics expert information, hospital information, and information from reputable universities. So this is data compiled from a lot of places. So I know that it's shocking, Chris, but yes, that's what I'm saying. Black men are not more likely to be killed than white men by police when they're unarmed. But when you factor in the fact that they also murder our women too, Black people, the Black community on a whole, is at a higher risk. When you factor in the women that they are killing, it raises the risk by double. That is exactly what I'm saying. And I know that that is shocking to some people, but nevertheless, it is true. Big O said, make no mistake about it, if they are killing Black women unarmed like they are the men, I definitely would want to know about that as well. And that's the case. That's why I'm doing this. They are killing the women. And nobody's talking about this. They're killing our unarmed women at such high rates that when you count the deaths, the murders by police on Black women, and you add it to the statistic, it doubles the danger for our community. It doubles the statistics. For police on unarmed Black crime, it doubles it simply by adding in the women that they're murdering. And this is critical that we bring this out into the forefront. Why isn't Oprah talking about this? Oprah? I don't know about Oprah. I'm not a fan of Oprah. I'm really not. Why aren't Black feminists on TV talking about this? I don't know. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody talking about this. And like I said, I personally came about this research doing other research for an unrelated topic. So I was just as shocked as a lot of you. But the thing is that this is what the research is showing. This is what the compilation of data from hospitals, from universities, from ongoing reports about police deaths and shootings, this is what is being shown. And although it's difficult to palate for some people and hard to understand, especially under the propaganda that is heavily focused on Black men, we have to understand that these high statistics of deaths, of police shootings in the Black community, that those statistics are heightened because they are killing the women too. They are killing the Black women that are unarmed, that they are encountering at such high rates that it makes all of these statistics double. Double. It's that they are attacking the weakest part of the Black community, which is the women. That is who they are killing. And I think that we have to talk about this. Like I said, this brings me to that earlier study when we're speaking of that Black women are essentially invisible in society, to the point that there is literally an epidemic that raises the murder rates of unarmed Blacks against by police by double, and nobody's talking about it. That is how invisible the Black female population is. And it's absolutely an outrage, and it has to stop. Oh, I don't know what I just did. I did something. Y'all, you'll know I'm not savvy. Hey, anybody, is she saying that there are more Black women getting killed more than Black men by cops? That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So let me reiterate what I am saying. The data is showing that Black men are at no higher of a risk of being killed by police. There is no significant difference between Black male murder, unarmed Black male murder by police, and unarmed white male murder by police. But that the statistics we see that show that Black people are more likely to be killed by police is inflated because there is an epidemic of police officers killing unarmed Black women. That is exactly what I am saying. That is what the research is showing. That is exactly what I'm saying. To answer your question, Joseph, that is exactly what I'm saying. I hope that this, and Chris, I hope that this does something, one, to unify us, because I feel like Black women and men are divided on many issues. And I have been saying that we have a joint issue, a joint problem. And I think this is indicative of that right now, that this is indicative, and we need to have this conversation, and we need to be unified as Black men and women on this front. Like I said, this is not the oppression Olympics. It is wrong, period. But make no mistake, for our Black men, that they are murdering your women in cold blood, unarmed women. And that is why the statistics for our community are so high. They are coming for the women too, y'all, to the point that it doubles the chances that a Black person will be killed if they are unarmed by the police. Doubles it when we consider the number and the sheer amount of women that they are murdering. And so I think this is very significant. And again, this is not to pit Black men and women against each other. It's just to bring attention to the fact that that's how much they don't care, is that they approach a woman and they will murder her in cold blood. They will do it. And they are doing it to the tune of double. That's why these statistics on police on Black violence are so high. That is what the research is showing. It is not because they're having an open day just on Black men. It's because they're out there and they're killing the women, and nobody is talking about it. So I'm not gonna keep on, and this is not gonna be a long live, you guys. It's absolutely not. I could have a longer discussion on this, but I just wanted to present the information. I really did. There's not a lot more that I can say to this, except for please check out the articles in the description box. Please check out the research in the description box. Please, if you have a YouTube platform, feel free to talk about this topic. I feel we really need to get the word out on this. Understand that it is a free-for-all on Black women. Understand that while women are killed by police the least overall, Black women, 60% of cases that the police encounter an unarmed Black woman, and there is a murder, that woman, 60% of times when police encounter an unarmed Black woman and there is a murder, that fact is why we are seeing such high police on Black violence. It is not the Black men. It's the women. They know nobody cares about Black women. They know nobody sees Black women. And so they are literally out in the streets murdering our women. That is what is going on. And we have to pay attention to this research. And keep in mind, this is ongoing research. So there are going to be more reports coming out with further details. And I strongly encourage you guys to start looking into it. I haven't provided all the research. I've provided a starting place for you. I encourage that you look at the research that is cited in the 2 research papers I provided and in the articles I provided, and that you spread the word about this and that we unify on this topic and realize this is not a Black male issue. This is a Black community issue. And sadly, the demographic that is being targeted is the Black woman. They are killing our women in cold blood, and nobody is talking about it. And we need to start the discussion. So with that said, you guys, I'm sorry to make this live super short. I have a long day and I want to be productive in it. But I want you guys to read the research, read the articles, spread the word. If you guys have YouTube channels, I encourage you to make videos regarding this topic. We can't, it's not, again, it's not an oppression Olympics. I'm not trying to say the Black woman is worse off than the Black men. I'm just trying to draw attention to the fact that when we look at these high stats in our community for police encounters and deaths, that those stats are double what they would be because of the fact that the police are killing unarmed Black women. And we need to talk about this. There is no reason that the Black woman should be such an invisible person in society, that she is being killed to the point that her death rate can double statistics for police on Black violence, and nobody is saying 2 words about that. What does it say about a police force? Police forces nationwide, that they are literally murdering unarmed women. And what does it say about our community and the nation at large, that there is no discussion about violence against unarmed Black women that is so prevalent that it raises the statistics for Blacks being killed by police officers by double? Why are we not talking about this? Why is this not a point of conversation? Why is nobody pointing the finger at this? We have to put this on the front stage. And so I just wanted to out that research. Like I said, I came about it by accident. I really did. But I was really saddened by it. And I appreciate you guys coming out for my live. And like I said, spread the word, make videos. Let's talk about this as a community. I'll talk to you guys later.